This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
It seemed reasonable at the time, and no one was bothered or offended. I can assure you this is true because I was there, and the woman was my wife-to-be. In reading his faxes, most written after his film Diaries were published, I noticed many well-known names are mentioned, and some of those well-known names aren't so well-known today, yet the observations about them are compelling. I understood that while Richard was writing about individuals, he was also writing about human types, and we no longer needed to know exactly who they were in order to appreciate their foibles.
The penalty for being an aging actress seems especially loaded with cruelties, currently accruing with interest upon the head of Miss X, who is now facing a crisis of beauty. For herein has resided the source of all her worldly powers since she stepped onto our screens 15 years ago. Now 36, having coasted through 20 lead roles in films of variable quality, more often than not notable for how many times she slung off her bra, she now faces the terrors of playing the mum of a spectacularly gorgeous 20-year-old, upon whose poised young head our director lavishes all his waking attention, to the point where, having rehearsed her in the most intimate one-to-one mode, this side of actually licking her all over, announces, "Right, let's go for a take," at which point she yodels up with her plea, "What about me?" His eyes momentarily flicker recognition that this other person is actually breathing, looks quizzical, decides, "No, you're fine," turns on his heels, and moseys to the monitor. Not that she has metamorphosed into an old boiler overnight, but her power base, if you can call it that, was her beauty. The reliable eyelid flutter and dulcet tones that commandeered men, rooms, service, cash, contracts, attention, with the ease and relish that a repulsive height-impaired fat fuck gets from breaking wind violently and daring anyone to sneer. Now, this may sound glee-filled and serves you right coming from me, but for once I am filling up somewhere with the faintest trickle of pity, because this vulnerability is the human stuff that joins us all.
Throughout the pages, with fax headers telling me the exact dates of delivery and typed like Archie of Archie and Mehitabel, the early 20th century office insect who wrote at night by leaping onto the keys of a typewriter and therefore couldn't use the shift key, are moments of career analysis.
As the flick I was scheduled to shoot in South Africa in May has gone kaput, I may well come to LA in June to squat on my agent's horrible little head for a couple of weeks to see whether there is any chance of breathing life into the inert corpse of my American career.
Analysis of his profession.
A lawyer in my ski group said whilst engulfing the chairlift with her posterior that acting is not that special, just a job like anything else. Yeah, thought I, suppressing a supreme urge to tip her out. Sure, honey. Every time you do something, anyone and everyone is a fucking critical expert in print and in person. You try maintaining some equilibrium in the face of that scrutiny, and sure as hell you will need another lawyer to manoeuvre your shattered self-esteem back on course.
And self-analysis.
My self-loathing propensity for vitriol is a warped form of intimacy. This was a form of intimacy between my father and me, so that my most familiar way into a buddy-buddy situation with another human is to establish a slag-fest collusion. Nothing thrills me more than to sit down at this enclosed, hidden secret world of my computer, banging out messages.
Along the way, I was re-amused by this observation.
I suspect the number of folk who maintain proper friendships with their exes is on a par with, Swiss sea battles.
And this opener from a fax of August of 1996.
Steve, just got back from a week's break, went to the south of France en famille to our house and had perfect weather, sex and enough garlic to kickstart a dead donkey.
And this one quoting his wife, Joan Washington.
I spoke to Joan, who's in France, and she said, "I think we should just pull up the drawbridge and not let anyone else in who is full of shit."
And finally this, from one of the earliest communications received on February 18th, 1995, and typed entirely in capital letters.
I have landed myself a literary agent as a result of my pret-a-porter diaries published in the Sunday Observer last summer, and subsequently